It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast on this Monday, the 11th day of September, 2023, coming to you from back in my studio, finally, back in Lynchburg, Virginia, right near Lynchburg, Virginia, at least Bedford County. It got cold again. I got back in the 97 in Dallas, 95 in Richmond, 91 here, and I went to 50 last night. So I'm back in a sweater this morning, or sweatshirt. We do have several things on the agenda today, folks. First of all, those of you that missed out on what happened this weekend, I got to Dallas fine from Vancouver. I'm going to talk a lot about Vancouver over the next little bit because Vancouver does some stuff really, really well. But got to Dallas, and that was fine. Had a little bit of a layover. I had to change gates. I got the first gate changed, and I got to the second gate. And they said, oh, no, we're changing again. You got to go to a different terminal. So I had to take the sky thingy to the different terminal. I was over there before it got time to load the plane. They changed it back to the terminal I'd come from originally. So I had to get back on the skywalk or whatever you call that thing, the upper deck train anyway. And went back to the building that I'd started from originally. So then it got around time for the flight to Richmond. And just before we were to board, they said, well, we're going to be delayed a few minutes for maintenance. So the few minutes turned into about an hour. And then the next announcement was, okay, that plane is no longer available. We got to switch planes. So now you have to go to gate, whatever it was, C130. I don't know. So here, this big mass of people all leaves at once. It looked like a wave going through the terminal in Dallas to get us down to the new gate. Finally, we got to board the airplane. Now, remember, this plane was supposed to have left at 2:30. It was due in Richmond at 5:30, give or take some minutes in there. So we're sitting on the plane, and the captain comes on and says, well, they're just about done with getting all this ready. We should be able to get in the line here shortly. And we waited and we waited. And finally, it's time for us to go. So we got in the line and because, now we're way out of sync with all the airplane schedules. Finally got in the air. I'm calculating my time. I'm going to be 3 hours late. Well, getting in at 5:30, that's put me in at 8:30. Yeah, okay, I can drive, 2.5 hours. 8:30, that's 3:10. That put me in about 11 o'clock. I was okay with that. On approach to Richmond, captain comes on again and says, folks, I hate to tell you this. I'm going, oh, God, what now? But there's a big storm in Richmond, and I can't land the plane, and I don't have enough fuel to do anything else. So we're going to go on and pop to Dulles, and I'll refuel and bring you back to Richmond. I said, okay. So we went to Dulles. And you have to go through all the shenanigans to get to the plane, to the place where they can refuel it. So they refuel the plane, and we're sitting and we're sitting and we're sitting. I'm thinking, well, we're now trying to get back into the line at Dulles. And the captain comes on and says, it'll just be a couple minutes more. They're doing a little maintenance on this plane now. I'm thinking, oh, God, not another plane that's screwed up. What the hell's going on here? Finally, as you know, probably another hour, we got in the air and we flew back to Richmond, which is only like 30 minutes, and got landed in Richmond at 11:30, 6 hours late. So in the meantime, I called Hot Air Tom. I said, Hot Air, don't I remember that there's a Holiday Inn Express somewhere near the airport? He said, yeah, it's right across the street from where you park. I said, okay, I'm going to go stay there because there's no way in the world I can drive home tonight by this late. He said, okay, let me check and see, if I got any rooms. Are you back? All right. Well, sure enough, they had a handicap accessible room. I went in there, checked in, paid the bill, all the stuff I got to do. Got up to my room, and I just clunked out. In the meantime, I realized I never had any dinner. I hadn't eaten anything since, I got to the airport in Dallas, and at like 12 o'clock, I stopped and had a little snacky late breakfast after flying in from Vancouver. I was too damn tired to worry about it that night. I went to bed. I woke up in time for breakfast. When they were still serving breakfast. Threw some clothes on, ran down to the buffet, which I like their buffet anyway. And ate a huge breakfast. And then I came back and did the show from my hotel room, which Hot Air Tom visited the show while I was doing it. So that's what happened Friday. So I almost don't want to say what happened Saturday. One of the things when you're on the road for about a month, you got all kinds of meds and stuff. You get low on pills. So I had actually 3 things that I was almost out of. So I called the pharmacy. When I got home Friday afternoon, I said, okay, I need an emergency refill on 3 things. And I said, well, how much of an emergency? If you give me an hour, I'm ready. I said, yeah, don't kill yourself. I said, get them done. Text me when they're done. I'll run down and pick them up. I said, okay. Well, they forgot to text me. So I didn't hear about anything until the next morning. And I said, well, I got to go pick up the bills because I need them today. So I jumped in a car. I went 7/10 of a mile to the Taj Kroger, which is the pharmacy I use. Went through the drive-through, got my pills, my little bag of pills. I said, damn, I'm thirsty. So I ran through McDonald's. I got a Coke, and I drove the 7/10 of a mile back home. So when I got here, I got out of the car. I had my portable oxygen unit. I had my phone. I had my car keys. I had my Diet Coke. And I walked into the house. And guys, I was just walking 6, 7, 8 steps, what it was, to the front porch and up the 2 steps on the porch. I was huffing and blowing like you thought I'd walk 10 miles. So I got to get to my chair and sit down. And I've got the oxygen going, from the portable unit. I'm still completely out of breath. So I went on and walked through the living room and got in here to the cave and sat on my chair. Well, before I sat down on my chair, I don't know if I stepped on my blanket or if I got wrapped up in my hoses or what the hell I did, but my feet came out from under me and I did a whale flop on the hardwood floor. Okay. And I'm talking about a whale flop. You probably, Tom probably felt it in Richmond. So I got bruises on top of bruises. It's a jam a bad up, but that's all. Okay. But the amazing thing, folks, when a big fat guy like me, hits the floor, I didn't spill a drop of Diet Coke. Don't ask me how. McDonald's Diet Coke, man, those things are indestructible. So anyway, I was pretty sore this weekend, so I didn't do anything. All right, guys, we do have a couple stories this morning. Passenger indicted for sexual assault. Hurricane Lee and Hurricane Margot. It's not Hurricane Margot yet. It will be in the next hour or so. The new electric battery-powered cruise ship to debut in Shanghai's Huangpu River. One of the most well-known, easily recognizable people in the entire travel and cruise industry. Tom McAlpin is retiring. And Radiance of the Seas finally returns. And a lot more this morning here on Travel and Cruise Industry News. Today, folks, is Hot Cross Buns Day, especially for you folks over in the UK. I'm not cross buns. I tend to like the Americanized version of hot cross buns, which has a little more of the icing slathered on top than a typical hot cross buns. So if you're listening via the podcast, glad to have you with us. You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net or wherever you use. And anytime you're listening via the podcast, if you want to jump over to the video feed for any reason, like I've got a special guest coming up here shortly, you're probably wondering what I've got to happen. I'll tell you when I get to it. Anyway, all you have to do is go to the description of the podcast. There's a link to access the video feed. You can always do that. You know, go back to the podcast if you want. All right. So why do I have a hat on my head? I have a very special guest this morning, folks. This is would be Captain Hudson. Now, some of you may know Captain Hudson and where Captain Hudson comes from. But I thought I would interview Captain Hudson today. So, now, Captain Hudson, I understand that you are a little bit aggravated at me. Can you tell me why? But I can't bring Charmin and Continental with me when I'm coming to England in 2025. They won't let me put my cat in my suitcase. That is not going to happen. Yeah, no, I'm not very good at smoking either. But no, I can't bring the cat. Now, Captain Hudson, you have traveled a lot with Emma. What is your favorite port of call in all the places Emma's taken you? Yeah, well, I like Mykonos too. That's a bad choice. Actually, I prefer, if I was going to make my choice, it would be the British Virgin Islands. I like them a lot. No. I'm not trying to suck to your boss. I like Tortola. That's my favorite island. Okay, even over. Okay. a tough one, Captain. If you could tell somebody a secret about your boss, what would it be? Something you know that Jono doesn't know, that Mom and Dad don't know, that none of the folks that listen to Emma know. What would it be? That's all the time we have for this segment. Thanks, Captain Hudson. We'll see you again. That's Captain Hudson and a special guest on Chillie Chat on today's travel and cruise industry news. All right, we got to look at the weather first, folks. All right. I got to put up a picture. Let's see. I'll get back in the swing of things here, folks. It's just going to take me a while to get the fingers working again. All right. That looks disgusting here in the Atlantic once again. Of course, we still got Lee. Now, what happened with Lee? Lee still remains a major hurricane. Hazardous surf and rip current conditions expected at beaches across the western Atlantic during the week. Currently, she's about 40 miles north of the northern Leeward Islands, about 650 miles southeast of Bermuda, currently holding maximum sustained winds at 120. She's moving to the northwest at 7 miles an hour. Minimum pressure has risen. It's about 950 right now. Now, you know, she went through rapid intensification here a couple of days ago. She more than doubled her speed in 24 hours, which was unbelievable. She got up to a high of 185 miles an hour. Of course, that's a strong Category 5. Thankfully, it was in the water. It didn't have any landfall at that kind of speed. Got into a little cooler water, dropped the temperature down a little bit, dropped the speed down a little bit, started weakening a little bit, got down to a Category 3. Still, that's a major hurricane. Possibly it's going to strengthen a little bit further today. Is possible before it starts to gradually weaken tomorrow. So, and again, thankfully, it may have some effect on Bermuda. It has some long-range effect on anybody as far as currents and wavelengths and tides. That's going to be affected all over the Caribbean. But the direct effect we normally feel from hurricanes, I don't see a lot of it unless Bermuda gets more of it than we're expecting right now. Margot, we don't know yet. Margot is moving due north over the open central subtropical Atlantic, expected to become a hurricane by tonight. Now notice it's moving due north. That's a little unusual from where it's located. Currently, it's about 1,215 miles northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Maximum sustained winds are at 65. Present movement is to the north at 8 miles an hour. Central pressure has dropped to 996. Expected to be a hurricane today. Now, I'm thinking it's going to bend back to the west. Strengthening is expected during the next 48 hours. We're not sure how much it's going to strengthen. I mean, this is about the same location when Lee went nuts. So we got to watch it and see. Also, we got to watch exactly where this one's going, because this could still affect the islands. It could still affect the east coast of the United States. Yeah, probably not Florida from its location. Now, I would have to take a really huge bend. But Bahamas, Bermuda definitely is into play on this one. We just got to see what it does. It's probably a day too early to get a complete handle on that. Now, over in the trough, coming off from Africa, in the eastern tropical Atlantic, a weak area of low pressure located several hundred miles west-southwest of Cabo Verde is producing disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity well to the west of its center. Development of the center is unlikely before it merges with a tropical wave to its east along the next couple of days. Formation very low. 10% over 48 hours, 10% over the next 7 days. However, the one behind it stuck it up and make that one stronger. A tropical wave located in the far eastern tropical Atlantic between Cabo Verde Islands and the west coast of Africa, producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development of this system, and a tropical depression could form by the weekend, while it moves west to west northwestward at 15 to 20 over the central tropical Atlantic. They're not talking about much development over 48 hours, but then they're jumping up to 60% over the next 7 days. And it's a possibility it could suck up the other one, and you never know what happens when that occurs. So we're just going to have to watch and see. Thankfully, nothing in the Pacific, just the Atlantic this time. All right. I'll be back with a couple news stories after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. All right, the top story today, folks. United States Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Pennsylvania announced that Salem Christopher Diop, D-I-O-P, age 22, of Kingston, Pennsylvania, was indicted by a federal grand jury on a sexual assault charge. The indictment and press release state on July 8th, Diop was on a cruise when he engaged in a sexual assault with a victim incapable of apprising the nature of the conduct. The court filing and press release do not refer to the name of the cruise line or the cruise ship where the sexual assault took place. Sexually assaulting a victim who is incapable of appraising the nature of the conduct typically occurs when the victim is impaired by a drug, intoxicant, or other similar substance. The court file does not contain any details of the circumstances leading up to the alleged sexual assault. The allegations constitute a felony. The case was investigated by the FBI. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jenny B. Roberts is prosecuting the case. This, thankfully, doesn't happen very often, just like it does in the real world, folks. You know, it happens at home too. But, I mean, thankfully, they're prosecuting people that perpetrate sex crimes. There for a long time, it was ignored, saying, you go on a cruise, you want that to happen. Yeah, no, that's not the way it works. All right, this we've talked about a bunch recently, but now it affected Disney. The Disney Fantasy returned to Port Canaveral this weekend after experiencing issues with its propulsion system. Captain Michelle from Disney Fantasy sent a message to guests on board explaining that the ship was facing technical difficulties. As a result, they would not be able to stop at Castaway Cay on Friday as planned. Instead, the ship would sail straight to Port Canaveral to ensure they arrived on schedule. The delay is not expected to impact the next itinerary, and it is currently scheduled in Cozumel, Mexico. Now, not that it makes a whole lot of difference under the circumstance. Apparently, they must have fixed it because they are sailing. As a matter of fact, it's in Cozumel today. The interesting thing is not supposed to be in Cozumel today. It's supposed to be in either the Bahamas or Bermuda. But that's one of the ships that they had to change the itineraries because of the storms. And folks, I didn't go through all of those. If it was scheduled anywhere in the Caribbean, in the Eastern Caribbean, probably not the Southern Caribbean, but the Eastern Caribbean, the Bahamas, Bermuda, I promise you the itinerary's been changed to keep people away from these storms, especially from Lee when it was a Category 5. But it's just churned up out there. So Fantasy is doing a Western Caribbean, not where it was supposed to be. So they've already had one change. And there's going to be more changes too, folks. Right through until probably the end of October. If you're taking a cruise this time of year in the Caribbean, just count on something getting changed. And that you'll be better off that way if you go in expecting it to happen. All right. This is kind of a cool story coming out of the river cruise, folks. A new electric battery-powered cruise ship is scheduled to make her inaugural appearance on Shanghai's Huangpu River later this year, was confirmed by official sources. The China-flagged riverboat has a length of 41 meters, width 11 meters, draft of 1.6 meters, maximum capacity 150 passengers, and operates with minimal noise and environmental impact. Tian Yi, responsible for overseeing the ship's battery-powered system, has emphasized the independent research and development carried out by the China State Shipbuilding Corp. Shanghai Marine Equipment Research Institute. The vessel, named Shanghai Jiusi, was handed over to its operator in August and is currently undergoing outfitting and obtaining the necessary licenses before commencing service. Something we got to follow, folks. There's been such a movement on the car industry to get us to electric cars. Is that going to happen with the ship industry? And we end up going to electric ships? It's possible. So it'll be interesting to follow this one along. Of course, that's a river ship now. It's a little bit different than a full-blown one. So, yeah, please do. Until tonight.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay.
Later.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll call you when I get off the air.
Okay.
All right. That was my niece. All right. You might recognize the folks in this. That's Tom McAlpin on the left, and his boss on the right. Tom McAlpin, who's one of the most recognizable names in the cruise industry, was CEO of Virgin Voyages, announced the appointment of new chief executive named Namail Savermuto, following the retirement of the founding CEO, Tom McAlpin, who will transition to the role of chairman of the board of directors and continue his support for the brand at executive level. Under Tom McAlpin's visionary leadership, Virgin Voyages has achieved remarkable success, earning numerous industry awards and garnering a plethora of five-star reviews, all stemming from a passionate commitment in the brand's unique culture. And finally this morning, folks, Radiance of the Seas is back in business. They were forced to cancel the last two Alaska cruises. One from, they were in the middle of one going to Anchorage. Then they had to cancel the next one, but was going from Anchorage down. Anyway, so they got two full cruises canceled. Well, they got it fixed And it's now they're going to be sailing back like normal starting on the 15th. So the guests got a note yesterday giving them the green light to be back to sailing on the 15th. All right, let's go see who's fussing at me in the chat room today. Take that off, of course. All right, let's see who's in the chat room. Steve's with us in Kentucky. Hi, Steve. Joanne's here. Any news about Lee? Yeah, well, she's dropped down to a 3, going back up again. Don't know how much it's going to go up. I'm guessing might go up to a 4. I don't see we'll be at 5 until, but you never know this time of year. Nice hat, Chillie. Yeah, well, there's a reason for it. I wanted to look like Captain Hudson. So this is my Captain Hudson hat. Emily's with us. Good morning, Emily. Plane maintenance. I'm thinking the pilot gets on the intercom and asks, does anyone have a roll of duct tape? I use duct tape a lot hot air, as you know, from seeing my chair. I did a repair with duct tape already on my chair on the arm piece. But yeah, I wish they would have gotten the pilot some duct tape. It would have saved me a hell of a lot of time. Gretchen's with us. Started packing in earnest today. Well, that's always a good sign. I'm breaking up. That shouldn't be me. I mean, I'm at home. I'm on my normal system. Sorry if I'm breaking up. It almost sounds like a loose connection with his microphone. Ooh, sorry about that, guys. All right, I will check it when he's breaking up. He's breaking up. Hot air Tom helped Chillie load his luggage and chair into his car. Oops, I had trouble lifting that chair in the back. Impressed that Chillie can handle that job. Yeah, I do. Cindy's chair is easier to lift and get into the back of an SUV. Hot cross buns are from Easter. Why September? I don't know. I don't write those things, Dennis. It's just on the schedule for today. Steve says someone might have called him before he does his interview. That was before I interviewed. Yeah, it was fun. That was just to get a laugh. The sound is a bit strange today. Are the rest of you hearing clicks? The sound is not synced with lips. Yeah. Sound is bad. I'm sorry, folks. I will work on that. See what the problem is. Unfortunately, I can't do it until I get off the air. We sail to Canada Thursday. We'll see if we are able to go. I think you're going to be okay. I hope your cruise goes well and you have good weather, says Nikki down in Jacksonville. In addition, DCL's 7th ship named Disney Adventure was just announced. Yeah, I saw that. That's the one they bought over there in China, the huge ship that was under construction to the fools that went belly up over there. Yeah, duct tape. Nikki thought it was duck, D-U-C-K tape. Looks like a river taxi. Yes, it does, but it carries 150 passengers. Is that a giant red chicken on the stem of the electric boat? I don't know. I pulled up the publicity picture. I didn't pay any attention, Nikki. Elvis Coco. Elvis Coco. That's a new name to me. At least I think that's a new name. There's a brand called Duct Tape with a K. So you're right. All right. Better now with sound. Audio is good now. I didn't change anything, folks. So that had to be generated from something because I haven't touched, I used my phone. I did my hotel tonight recommendation show up in chat. Yes, it did. So, all right, guys. Oh, I've said something wrong. Ocho. Ooh. Ocho. 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 Okay. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Crazy week this week. I'm going to be doing both the meeting with the girls at Viva tomorrow, and then I'll be doing the Stolo Cruise Deal show on Wednesday. I know something else I did want to mention to you guys. I was going to do it when I started doing this silliness with Captain Hudson. Captain Hudson is Emma's cat, by the way, in case you're wondering about where Captain Hudson came from. Captain Hudson kind of looks like this. That's Emma's cat. So I've added one cruise to the calendar, and it is a new one. If any of you are interested in going on it, please let me know and I can get you hooked up. But it is on, let me think. I know I put it on the calendar. Did not put it on the calendar. Well, it was on the calendar. It's now come off the calendar. I don't understand. I'm looking down here. Wow, goodness, it's disappeared. Okay. It's on the Meraviglia out of Brooklyn on the 20th. On October 25th. Here it is. The Meraviglia out of Brooklyn on the 25th of October. Nice itinerary. Goes to Port Canaveral, then Western Cozumel, Costa Maya, back to Ocean Key and Nassau, and then back to Brooklyn. It's an 11-night cruise on the Meraviglia. I've been on it before. I like the ship. If any of you might be interested, whether you're solo or you're, going in double occupancy, let me know. I'll see what kind of deal I can get you on that one. Has nothing to do with any of the deal stuff I'm doing for solos. But I'm going to be on it. My buddy Nate's going to be on it. So if you're interested in joining us, come on. Some of you wanted to do a MSC cruise. Here's a chance. And we'll see what kind of deal we can get you here, because it's kind of a last minute thing. All right, that's coming up shortly. So, and I'll have to go back now and re-put that on the calendar. I did that already. So, all right, that now is going to wrap me up for today. I think I've gotten everything covered that I was supposed to do. Meraviglia. All right, yeah, thought that's what I said. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today. Hot Air's flying to New York on October 20th. We'll be in the Intercontinental on Friday to Sunday night. If you arrive early, we can party in New York. We'll see, because I gotta double back on that. I've got like 2 days to get from Brooklyn to Miami for my next hosted cruise. So it's going to be a crazy period. But, you know, it's a good enough deal that I jumped all over it. Plus, I wanted to sail with Nate again, too. I enjoyed Nate a lot. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. As always, thanks for being with me. I will be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. And then on Wednesday, we'll be doing two things. We're doing my show, and we'll be doing Pete's show on Solo Cruise Deals as well. So, as always, guys, thanks for being with me. Stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Might be on the Meraviglia. That would be cool. We'll talk to you real soon. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.